You got it. Good day, everyone. Thank you so very much. I know you're like, when they said 2 o'clock. Well, you know how technology is in today's day and age. And once again, it got us. But, I am one that don't give up. And, for someone to say you can't do something or it ain't going to work, Sandra L, it's going to be like, I'm going to try it anyway because I'm going to get it to work, especially when it comes down to the patient experience, especially when it comes down to bringing information in reference to the marginalized community and things that they should know and be aware. Why? Because I am sick and tired and sick of our community, especially our community, not getting everything that they should have when it comes to healthcare. I'm all for you going to the doctor. I encourage you to all patients to go to the doctor. But when it comes down to the marginalized, and you're going to get an example of exactly what I'm saying. Sometimes people got to see what you're saying in order for them to say, oh, I get it. Now I understand. When I say the underserved, the marginalized community, and the under-resourced community, many times I'm asked, Sandra, aren't they all the same thing? And my resounding response each time is no, they are not. There are three different aspects and sectors of the population, and two most often, especially the marginalized and the under-resourced, get overlooked sometimes because we're so busy trying to lump everybody into one pool. Everybody don't into one thing. They do not. So today, it with great pleasure, I am fortunate enough, we are fortunate enough to have with us Mr. Art Still. Not only was he active in the professional world, but he actually has a health condition that many of us do not know about. We have not heard about it. When we have heard about it, it's in little small circles. I heard about it because my oldest sister passed away from this very condition. So I know about it because personally I felt it. And so many others that are listening today or listening at whatever time you're listening to the podcast are also have these signs and symptoms. They just wishing them away. And we've got to stop wishing things away, and we've got to start talking to our doctors. And if we don't feel comfortable talking to our doctors, many of them are trying to help us, but for some reason you don't feel comfortable talking to your doctor, you need to actually look somewhere else for a doctor that you can talk to. But that line of communication needs to remain open. For those doctors that were on my sister's care, I thank them very much, especially in the clinical trial that she was a part of. I thank them for accepting the clinical trial. Unfortunately, she lost her life due to a time issue, but I'm thankful, and I'm especially thankful for those doctors those clinicians that are working on behalf of Art Still's life and making sure that he is around for a very long time, because we all need him to be around for a very long time. You might be saying, well, Sandra, what health condition is that you're talking about? I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Art. I'm going to have him explain who he is, what he wants you to know about the condition that he is living with, and then we'll get started with the questions. But once again, during this patient experience week, please take high notes of what's going on and what we're talking about. Mr. Art Still, could you please go ahead and let everybody know who you are and what condition it is that we're speaking about today?
Well, I was going to say, Sandra, I appreciate the introduction and all too. And again, and I always tell people, because I played in the NFL, I was just a job taking care of my family and all. And everybody has a job, so everybody's special and all. And that's where I look at it. It was just a job taking care of my family and all. But again, playing in the NFL gives you a platform where, people tend to maybe listen a little bit more and all, especially if you've been experiencing some conditions like you said your sister experienced. And my when you explain your sister and all, this brings, I got a nephew and all too had amyloidosis and all too, and that's just part of the story. But it's just a matter of, and then you hear things too, you said within our community and all, where, it's the old line, if you don't know your past, you're not going to know your future and all. And I know one of the ingredients in that, what's the most important game we're playing right now in his life. And so if you don't know your, past history, family members and all too, parents and all, you can prepare yourself for the future and also your own kids, passing that on. Sometimes that, we live in a world now, now knowledge is starting to get out there. That's why we're out here talking about it right now. But just a little background. I'm from Camden, New Jersey, right across from Philadelphia. Grew up in the project Centerville. And the only means of getting out of the projects, economically, it was I have five sisters and four other brothers, and I had my parents, so it was 12 of us. But the only means of getting out of that economical area was using my athletic skills and all, which a lot of members of my family and within the community use as a means of going to college and getting education, doing something with themselves and all too. So I had the opportunity. I went to University of Kentucky, and then from there got drafted by the Chiefs in 1978 and got drafted right behind Earl Campbell. I was the second player drafted and all, and then played 10 years with the Chiefs and 2 years, Buffalo Bills and all too. And I just like to maybe give a little background because, as you brought up, there's a lot of negative things as far as in reference to, within our community and all about pharmaceutical companies, doctors and all too. And I can give you a history and all. It kind of developed with me and all, even my brother and all. I got a brother 12 years ago he had a heart transplant. Matter of fact, he had it at University of Chicago Medical Center and all too. And at that particular time, all the symptoms and all that he had the carpal tunnel, stenosis in the back, he had the neuropathy in the feet, kidney problems, then it's going to start affecting his heart, and then eventually he had to have a transplant, all kinds of things. And so for me, seeing him go through the process and seeing medication and seeing all the doctors and basically having all these surgeries kind of put a bad taste in my mouth where, I was not anti-doctor, anti-medicine and all, but I just didn't want to have nothing to do with it because I seen the process my brother went through, and eventually they had to open him up and do a heart transplant. But the crazy thing about that is I just found out recently and all. Now I don't know how long you've been know about the amyloidosis. ATTR affects 1 out of 25 African Americans and all. So what happened to me through the NFL and all? We have a program. We go down to Tulane Medical Center every 5 years. So the first time I went down there, I think it was in 2019, and I had the heart problems already. And I can, the crazy thing about this is I can track my history going back from playing ball. All the symptoms that led up to my heart problems were all symptoms of ATTR, a genetic variant that affects 1 out of 25 African Americans and all. That I can track it all the way up until I had the heart problems. And then what happened was when I did go visit down at Tulane in 2023, Dr. Keith Ferdinand, he works with Tulane and he works through the NFL Players Association through this program, a cardiologist, um, knew I was kind of anti-medicine, almost doctors and all too. So he sat me down, and he's an African American doctor, and he reasoned with me. He said, "Hey, I tell you what, Art, give me a little background on your family history." So I started off with my brother, and then I kind of knew where he was going with this and all too, somewhat, because when I started tracing all my brother's symptoms, and each symptom, the doctor, medication, surgery on his back, he had stenosis. I think he had an orthopedic doctor do the surgery, nicked his drum. Basically, he was on the table on his face for about 10 hours until another doctor came in, had to fix it, but it never was fixed. Up until this day, he's still having serious problems. He's in a wheelchair. He has the cath and all. He's been cathing probably 14, 15 years manually and all. As a matter of fact, I talked to him today, and those types of things scar you basically, not only physically, but psychologically and all too. So seeing all those things, and then talking to Dr. Ferdinand, and he started asking me these questions. I gave him all the symptoms. All the symptoms that he had is the symptoms that I have and all too. And so then I started talking about some other family members. I got a brother. My brother's married to my wife's sister. Um, he has the exact all the symptoms. Matter of fact, he's got a heart pacer and a defibrillator in him. He hasn't been tested, but I can almost guarantee you that he has it too. And I got some other brothers and sisters with some serious symptoms and all. So Dr. Ferdinand told me, he said, when you get back to Kansas City, do a genetic test to see if you have this amyloidosis, ATTR. So when I got back in Kansas City, took the genetic test, which is a basic, they just swab your mouth like with a Q-tip in your mouth. Nothing, don't have to draw blood. Found out that I had it a couple weeks later. Then I told my brother about it. He had a genetic test, the one that my brother James, who had the heart transplant, he had a genetic test. He has it. Then come to find out, later on, I just found out this maybe a year or so ago with my brother, my older brother. No, when we started talking, when I finally told him in 2023 about this, he did a background check. He had some records and all of his son that passed away in the hospital because they misdiagnosed and they gave him, I think, too much painkiller or whatever. I don't know if they thought he had sickle cell, and plus he had the amyloidosis and all. So I don't know if they was aware of it and all too, but that caused his death, 4 years ago. And so, with that said, the first thing I thought about when I'm starting getting out this information about amyloidosis and how it affect, African American family and all. First thing I think about my family, I got 5 girls, 6 boys. I got just had my 25th grandchild. Got a 26th one coming up in September. So the first thing, I'm thinking family wise, just my own kids. And I got 4 of my kids are firefighter, and the oldest one is 41 years old. And he already had shoulder replacement. He's having neck problems, some other things, I think even with his heart and all. So he's the one that's going to be doing well, I got 8 of them said they're going to do the genetic testing and all too, in reference to that. But then, when you start thinking not only that family, then I'm thinking my other family is football. All the players and all, how many players that I've played against, carpal tunnel, back problems, foot problems, as far as swelling and I got hand problems as far as gripping and coldness and those types of things. And then even a point too of nighttime, having those night sweats. I thought maybe I was in pretty good shape. I thought maybe I used to joke with myself. I'd be sweating at night. I thought I was playing a game. When I get up, thought I was going to go over to the stadium and get paid, man, but was no money there. But, it was just a combination of things. And so what I realized is, if we don't talk about these things, if we don't get this information out within the community and all, everybody's left, with the bag open, so to speak. In other words, if we're not talking about these symptoms that we might think, like as a carpal tunnel, people might think it's from typing or grabbing things and all. But when you get accumulation of things going on, it could be that amyloidosis. And if it's not diagnosed, the same thing will happen. The same thing that happened to my brother will happen to me or anybody else. Eventually, it's going to affect your heart and your organs now, your liver, your kidneys and all too. So that's, with me, it just made sense. And, of not only my own family, but not only with, my family as far as football, but within my own community and all too. So we started Still for Life for a reason, just to get awareness out and also early detection. You get awareness out and people understand the symptoms and all, and they get early detection, they can avoid a lot of serious, repercussions from, from the heart or the kidneys and those types of things. And that's the reason why, and like I said, I appreciate you for inviting me out and all too, and, talking about my situation and all too. But it's important that we all discuss and talk to each other and know our family history. And then not only know our family history, I'm not saying get into other people's history, but we got neighbors now. We got family and friends that, again, if you see some things going on, we know the symptoms. It's always nice to talk or encourage. Not that we're doctors, but those symptoms can have, if you put them together and all, you can put the piece of the puzzle together and can avoid a lot of serious illness down the line.
And I'm so very glad, and I'm so very thankful to you One, because you know what, as a NFL football player, as a former NFL, once a football player, always a football player. So as
Well,
a
no, they ain't.
football
Hey,
player,
no, hey,
you could
Sandra.
have actually said, you know what, I'm keeping this to myself. I hate everybody for
Oh,
everybody.
yes.
And put on this big athletic show. This big athletic shoulder where don't come around me, don't talk to me. I'm not going to share my story. But that's not what you did. You actually said this is impacting me, and I always say, you know what, your family history is important. I've
Yes.
written a journal that's a personal and family history because, and that when I wrote the journal because one, when we were going through COVID, everything was blamed on COVID. Just
Yes.
like you said with carpal tunnel, you got carpal tunnel. Everybody say, oh, you got carpal tunnel. That just comes from work. You don't need to worry about it. You wear this brace for a couple of days, it goes away. Same thing with COVID. Everybody was talking about COVID. Well, if you listen close enough, it wasn't COVID that a lot of people were passing away from, especially in our
Yeah.
community. It was actually those it was actually those family history conditions that we actually had that we weren't aware of the fact that we had it because for a very long time, our community, and it could have happened to other communities as well, but I can only talk about our community.
Yes.
Our community didn't talk about these type of things. Our community, the adults learned about these things and they kept it in
Yes.
adulthood. But as children, we didn't know about it. As teens, we didn't know about this stuff until it happened to us, which was a lot of times much later in life. So when that actually happens like that, you can't be proactive. So we've got to start working together. And I'm so grateful to you that we are, working with life and making sure that the community is aware. We can't keep keeping these secrets, guys. These secrets are killing us. These secrets are going to wipe away our community. So, whatever goes on, we're taking a chance by not talking about it. We're taking a chance by not sharing it, not saying, hey, you know what? I used to make all this money, but life is life and life got the life in. And now, because of it, I'm now going through some changes. I'm now seeing some things that I could do differently. My community could do differently. I want to be that cornerstone. And I'm sure that there are others that might be listening are listening to this or, watching us live that are saying, Sandra, you know what? I can help. You know what? I got the way to help. Don't just help me, help your community. Help, like Art just said. You know what? It takes a village. We can't do this alone. It takes a village to come together to start sharing these patient experience stories of this is what I went through. These were some of the symptoms. And if you caught him early on when he was speaking, and which was one of my questions was, okay, well, while you was playing football, did you notice any of these symptoms? And it was just like, okay, they're gonna go away. Right?
Yeah.
Not knowing that seriously, there's something wrong with me that I need to get checked out. And guys and ladies, the doctors cannot read our minds. If we don't start speaking up when we go to the doctor and saying, look, I know this is carpal tunnel, but I also have these other symptom signs going on. Could you at least check? Especially ladies, because a lot of us, a lot of times get gaslit into certain things. But we have that most important tool. It's called our voice. And just like Art is using it, not so that he could retire and sit home and be like, whatever happened to people, it happened, but so that we could become more involved in getting that patient experience story out. We got to do better. We have to. If you have a story, please share it. Please consider sharing it, not just with yourself or your close loved ones, but with your community. Begin. Sometimes they'll listen, sometimes they won't. But guess what? You did your due diligence by letting them know. You did your due diligence, but not just speaking about it and letting it go away. But you did your due diligence by keeping it in the media, keeping it on the not on the sidelines, but keeping it in the fray where people could get to know what's going on and where they can go to get help and how they can go to get help. So Art, I'm thankful to you that you did say I had some symptoms, right? When you was
No,
playing
hey,
football, I did have
Sandra, I was gonna say too, and we all grow in different environment. But my mother, it was five of us boys. She was you call raw dog, man. She was only about that tall, man. We boys, man. she'd be pointing at us, man, and we be shaking like a leaf and all. But the thing is, one of the things my mother instilled in us and all too, especially myself now, stays in my mind. My mother used to always say, if you see something wrong or something going on in the community, and you can have effect as far as a positive effect, and you turn your head and just go away because it's not affecting you, you just as guilty as whatever's going on in the community and all too. And that's the way I kind of look at it. I mean, it's just to me, and it's funny, like, I go to these charity events and do things in the community and all. And usually, you want to ask a person their name and usually talk. On my side, when I'm talking to folks, I'm asked, you got any swelling in your feet? Hey, how you got any carpal? It's just all those symptoms and all too. And I'm finding folks, man, that, we was in Detroit um, a month ago and all, and they did genetic testing at this, so we was doing a program and it was about over 40 something people, and they did free genetic testing on that program right there. Come to find out 2 weeks later, four folks in there didn't know it, had amyloidosis.
Oh,
So,
wow.
but it was just, that's why it's an eye opener and all too, because a lot of the folks that may be having issues, and they said even in the past, I can go back to my great great grandfather. He had heart problems. You know, I, in his book, they used to call him the Dr. James Steele. They used to call him the Doctor of the Pines. When I was reading his book, they said he died of heart disease. So it's in the history and all, and that's why we talk about passing the history on. And some people want to turn a blind eye. And like in my situation, it wasn't. I didn't know anything. Only how I found about it was 2023 through Dr. Ferdinand down at Tulane. If if he didn't say anything to me now, who knows where I would be health wise right now. And that's why to me it's almost like you got to pass that information on, especially something that benefits yourself and all. And again, it's a combination of things too, because I kind of look at the healthcare industry. You got the pharmaceutical companies, you got the doctors, then you got the patients, you got the caregivers and all too. So the doctors doing everything they can on their part. And I'm not saying all doctors, but most of the doctors I know are pretty sincere in what they do. They're limited in somewhat, what they can do. Same thing with the pharmaceutical company. You get bad names and all too. But trying to work as a team to find a solution to the issues and problems. And then I look at myself. So if I'm part of that team, what am I doing on my side to enhance, my health? A lot of times, and I use the example like, you see all the commercials about diabetes, those type of things. You know, you see people, man, that have these issues, either drugs, you see doctors, but are we as patients or, taking those drugs, what are we doing for our health? Are we watching what we eat? Are we doing exercise? Are we getting sleep? How are we handling stress? Those things can enhance, and I always use that term. You'll see if you go to the website, still for life and all.org, you'll see we say extending your shelf. So the thing is, we can extend our shelf life by just little simple things. You don't have to kill you. You don't have to go out there and try to be a bodybuilder. You can make sure you get your sleep at night. Staying up all night long is not too good for you too. And those is just what we put in our body. A lot of processed food, a lot of sugar. We finding out now that contributes to our health issues. So that's where it takes on our part. Not only we listen to people like ourselves or doctors or maybe people talking on the subject, but digging in and doing your own research and make your own informed decision, not based on what I say or somebody else or you might say or whatever. Making informed decisions, and that's been the way of my life and all. Because even when playing ball, always trying to find how you can get a little better and play a little longer and all too. And so it's the same thing with our house and all. It's a matter of doing the research too.
You know what? And you're so true about that. That's why I say, and that's why I give this disclaimer in reference to speaking with Sandra L. This is not about bashing the doctors because, long, long time ago,
Yeah.
doctors could practice medicine. So doctors could be in your room with you for hours on time. Sometimes they could do
Oh yeah.
home visits. They
You're right.
could do all this stuff. But when medicine became business, well, all of that stuff got stripped away. So there are a lot of doctors out here that go above and beyond where they could be going, or where they should be going, or even where they will get paid to go, because now they'll get, dinged if they spend 5 extra minutes with a patient.
Yeah, you're
So
right.
we can't say it's all doctors are bad, because all doctors aren't bad. There are some doctors that are great doctors, and they go above and beyond where they know they should be going, where they know that at the end of the day that they're going to get dinged, or they're going to get called into the office. Hey, why was you spending all this time with this patient? So while they want to, a lot of times, and we all work because because we have to work, because we were all walking around here millionaires, we probably wouldn't be working, right? But our
Yes,
doctors can only do so much right now to help you as a patient. So they have rights and responsibilities. Exactly. Our pharmaceutical companies, they do what they can. They have a huge part, last year in November, for the first time, and I have to put this shout out. For the first time, I had a pharmaceutical company call me and say, "Hey, Sandra, can you come speak?" And it's AstraZeneca, so I have to put it out there, who actually invited me to that table that I'm always talking about. Y'all are keeping the patients away from the table. And so they invited me to come and speak. They wanted to hear what it was that we needed as a patient, what it is that we wanted, what it is that we needed, so that they could try to make a little bit of dent. Sometimes they do more than they can. Sometimes they don't do enough, right? But they have rights and responsibilities that they follow. Same thing with us as patients. Patients have rights and responsibilities. One of our rights is to receive optimal health care. I've been on the bandwagon forever, and I'll continue to be on the bandwagon forever when it comes to the under-resourced and the marginalized, which you're considered a marginalized patient because you're not poor and you're not rich, right? But you have enough and you have the resources around you to get what you need to have, get, what you need to get to continue on the road of healthy living, or as much healthy living as you can get. So that marginalized patient, a lot of times though, they're left out of the mix. Nobody's concerned
yeah,
about the marginalized patient, which is why we have to use our voice to speak up. Nobody's really, or they make too much money, they don't qualify for this. Just because we don't qualify for it doesn't mean we don't need it, and doesn't mean we shouldn't
yes,
have it, right? But if we as patients don't do our right, which is to speak up, to our responsibility, which is to self advocate for ourselves, will always be at this point where we're at, where we're behind the eight ball trying to push forward. And we can't continue to be behind the eight ball. We can't continue to be retroactive patients where we just waiting for something to happen before we make a move. We can't keep
yes,
doing it. So it's our right and responsibility to self advocate, to seek out the best optimal health care, whether you're under resourced, whether you're marginalized, or whether you're underserved. You need to speak out. You need to, have events, community events. Consider talking about the community events where the community is learning, right? Not
yes,
just you and you get the information, you go away, you don't share it with anyone, but where the community is learning from you. So I'm thankful to you that you actually, like I said, I'm thankful to you. I laugh every time we speak, but I know that it's a serious, amyloidosis is serious. Like I
yes,
said,
yes,
my oldest sister was diagnosed with amyloidosis. She unfortunately passed away on the operating table.
wow,
There's things that, we know now that, we wish that we would have known them then, but, the fight was real to try to save her life, just as real as it is for us to try to save everyone else's life who might not know that they have amyloidosis, because when they go to the doctor and they have carpal tunnel, they're diagnosed with carpal tunnel and everything else goes away. Stop.
yeah.
You
And
bring up
that,
another good point before we end. You bring up another good point, and that's genetic testing. For everyone that's listening, there are free genetic centers throughout the United States. I was actually fortunate enough to thank you, Erin Poyant, who is one of my LinkedIn buddies, for sending me
yes,
the list. She sent me the list. However, when I got the list, it was about 5 minutes before we started the video session. If you need to know about these sensors, where the free, FREE, genetic testing centers are so that you can go and get some free FREE help. Please reach out to me and say, Sandra, could I have the list of where the genetic centers are? Later on, more than likely in the first part of 2026, I'll invite Erin to come in so she could share some additional information that she's working on her end. But I do have the listing. I will most definitely share it because yes, we have to take care of us. We got to take care of us, right? And we can't
And
do taking care of us if no one's doing it.
hey, Sam, you brought up good. Aaron, she's been very helpful to me and still for life and all too, because all you mentioned about the free testing and all. If you go on our site too, I don't know if you have, but the thing is, it's nice because this goes out nationally and all too. So when I got resources, a page on our resources like amyloidosis centers throughout the United States, so they can go and choose to say if they're down in Florida or maybe out in California. They got sites in all places, amyloidosis centers and these medical facilities and all that you can call and get information about locally in that particular area where you live at and all too. But those are the things and all, like you said, of understanding the symptoms, understand the symptoms, where resources and doing genetic testing and all. That is, that's part. But then the support system, and that's where it comes into play. I'm pretty fortunate. I call him my parole officer. I done did 42 years of hard labor. I got a life sentence, but it was just. I'll give you an example. Especially we talk about the gender thing. Men, we don't have no issues. We go to the doctors, man. But usually Dr. Sperry is my doctor, amyloidosis doctor. And we just seen him about maybe a month ago or so. Me and Liz sitting in there. You think by now, and after 2023, I'm opening up to the doctor and all. And so the doc asked me some questions, and Liz is sitting next to me. And he asked me some specific, oh man, I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm going back to my old ways. And, the parole officer over there, Liz, man, she's like this, and she spilled the guts on me and all. But it was just one of those things and all. That's where, caregivers working together as a team. And again, sometimes it's that manhood thing. We come manhood thing. So, while I'm right in front of Dr. Spray, act like I'm upset at her. And then after we leave, I give her a big hug. Way to go, girlfriend. She helped me out, man. I could keep my manhood right there. But I mean, you just kind of laugh about things. And if you take things too seriously and all, I mean, you want to take it serious, but laughter to me is part of my medicine. And then, some other things as far as rest and those types of things. But um, that's why a good support system, and, anybody want to get in contact with me, they can too and all, because that's how we spread the word and help each other out and all, because sometimes people don't have that support system as far as maybe in the home and all. Like I talk to him there. As soon as I'm finished, I'll go down and visit him. But he's the one that had the transplant, and he's having some more heart problems and all too. Because what we're finding out, and again, I'm not a doctor, that he done had this heart for about 12 years now, but he still had the amyloidosis. So that amyloidosis, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is still building in there and can affect your organs even more so unless you get medication to stop it, slow it down, or whatever. And I think he's having some, all those surgeries and all he have, back when he had back, doctor really messed him up pretty bad. So, um, it's that, support. We all need support one another. We got neighbors and all too, older ones. So,
You're right. We most definitely do. That's why I'm calling on all communities, whether it's a community of color, whether it's a community of women, wherever it is a community of. You can do this on your own. You can get through your health challenges on your own. You can. So don't get me wrong, and I don't want you to say, "Well, what Sandra said, I can't do this if I don't have help." But it does a
right.
whole lot of difference if in
Yes.
fact we do it as a community, if in fact we pull all our powers together and we actually come and we actually, amyloidosis is just one of the rare health conditions that we're now starting to find out about that have been embedded in our family genetically wise. It's just one. We don't know everything about it just yet, but we know that it's there. We see the advertisements now of them starting to talk about different protocols for amyloidosis. different medications for amyloidosis. We see it, but we need to raise it up just more. I don't want to say just a little more. We need to raise it up more because, as Art was just saying, he was at an event and it was actually less than a month ago, and sitting there, unbeknownst to the people that were sitting there that was participating in this
Yeah.
event, was the fact that they was going to come in not knowing, but they was going to walk out. You got amyloidosis. You need to see a doctor. Now they're on the road to repair. Now they're on the road.
Yes.
Hopefully, prayerfully, they
Yes.
went and they had a conversation with their doctors. Now they're on
Yes.
the road to repair. Now they're on the road to, we can fix this. We just, this is some things that we have to do. I ask everyone all the time. I am not a clinical trial participant yes yet, even though I have diabetes and I do have chronic kidney disease. My doctors right now don't have me as a as a clinical trial participant. However, what will happen is that when the day comes where, I have to go and be a clinical trial participant, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Why? Because I know more about it now than I knew about it before. So I'm asking you, my sister who passed away, I didn't find this out until it was brought to my attention by one of my other sisters that, hey, you work on the amyloidosis. That's what Phyllis passed away from. And I actually had to go and read her obituary to find out that the only way that she received the care that she did is because she decided that she wanted to be a clinical trial participant. What occurred was that she had to wait, while I fought tooth and nail with the medical team because they didn't want to allow her to have the surgery that she needed. So that waiting period added to the prolongation of the fact that she didn't have the surgery when it could have actually helped her even more. So, guys, stop, and ladies, stop waiting and stop sitting and stop second guessing and self treating and everything else you do. Let's start looking at clinical trials, how they can help our communities. Let's start looking at talking to our doctors, how that communication can help our community. Let's start partnering together so that we can bring a higher sense of urgency to these conditions that are impacting our community, because absolutely no one is coming to save us. That little yellow school bus that comes into everybody's neighborhood, it's coming into ours, but if we don't know it's there, it ain't stopping. So let's
Yeah.
do what we can do at all times to ensure that we're getting the very best healthcare, not just healthcare. We need the very best healthcare. All right,
Listen.
before we
Yeah.
close out, can you give us 2 to 3 tips that you would like to leave us with?
Well, I would say too. We just talking about and as far as in reference to with the amyloidosis, the ATTR, the effects of, and there's other effect, Portuguese, um, Irish. I mean, there's a bunch of amyloidosis out there and all too, but the one, um, in reference to the African American group, 1 out of 25, there's no cure for it. But the thing is, they have product lines out there that will not let it go worse than what it is. They call them, and like I said, I'm not in the farm, but at least if you get it detected, you can take things that it won't progress and get worse. And that's where, where I'm at right now. And so hopefully no transplants or anything like that for myself. But as far as giving things within the community, it's just, man, it's almost like keeping your eyes open, not only for your family members, but your workmates, people, your neighbors, and all, because you see things. Sometimes you see them suffering things, and suggestions. All, and again, we're not doctors and all, but as we learn things, it's a matter of passing them on to our young ones and all too. And as I'm a grandfather, passing on to my grandkids and all too. And it's just a matter of, talk about these things within the community and all, and then talk about the good things in the community and all, And part of the good thing is being able to talk to other folks about it and bring awareness about not only just amyloidosis, like I said, diabetes, things that we can pass on, and things that a lot of times it's not what we say, is our actions and all too. So
You got that right. You certainly got that right. It's not, sometimes talking is good. I'm one, talking is very good, but you have to put action behind that talk. In other words, if you're not doing that, you're just wasting air. And none of us have time to waste air. None of us at all have time to waste air. So as we're talking, so are we doing. What I would like to bring up before we close is that Chicago, get ready, get ready, get ready. On October 25th, 2025, we will be hosting, and we actually will be partnering with Still for Life. We actually be partnering with Chroma Health. We'll actually be
Oh yeah.
partnering with Salam Wellness Center here in the city of Chicago, as well as Anthro Spa. We will be coming together to host a summit, a 4-hour summit on what we need to be doing, what to actually better order our health concerns and our health conditions, and what diseases are out here that we don't know about. Like what are they hiding from us that we don't know about? Like sharing that education so that all patients can become empowered and engaged in their own health care. I can be engaged in your health care, but I want you to be engaged in your health care. And without you being educated, it just will not happen. I don't know about you, but me, I know that I only get one life. I promise everybody is listening. If you hear Sandra L has passed away, don't call my husband and say, "Hey, we heard of this new treatment that you could revive her body and bring her back." Uh-uh. I don't want to have anything to do with it, which is why I'm doing what I can while I'm here to ensure that not only I and my family have access to optimal health care, but my community as well. I say this all the time, guys. Each one, teach one. Do not stop at teaching. Reach one as well. Each one, teach one, reach one. If we can get this going to a higher level, wow, like take a longitudinal study and look on 5 years from now, look back and say, well, wow, we did this. We really did this. And feel good about the fact that you were actually able to help to bring a sustainable healthcare system where all of us, not one patient gets left behind because they say they just don't know. So if you're in Chicago and you're interested in being a part of the program that we'll be having on October 25th, please reach out to me. All right, how do people get in touch with you if they want to help you and they want to actually get more information on you? Where can
Well,
they find
we
you?
have, and again, you brought up some terms and all, and you talked about Chroma Health and all. Oh, Arnie over there, man, he's been very. We just like you put both our heads there, and we'll make a butt. No, I'm just joking. But Arnie, hey, good. I mean, that's my brother from another mother and all. But and I think he brought up that point. What you were saying, like all of us, educate to advocate. So I mean, that's part of that's what we're talking. We're educating so everybody can advocate for themselves and come together doing these things. But again, my website is like still STILL the number 4 and then life LIFE.org. And on there, if you go in there and again, like I said, I'm not in the pharmaceutical business. I'm not a doctor or anything like that. But we tell our story, our family story and stuff of what we've been through as far as with this amyloidosis, and then give some information, provide information out there, like we was talking about resources that people, if they're in, Seattle, whatever, they got places they can call, get more information. And then on that, you'll see, all my contact information, or you go on the website, info, it'll come right directly to us and all, because we work directly, you know, with our website. And our whole goal and objective is not, some people take maybe something and use it to exploit, create a name, maybe make some money off of it. No, what we're doing is doing what we're supposed to be doing. The other line that my mother used to, and then you hear it too, they said, when you help others, you help yourself. And I just do another H word in there. I said, when you help others, you heal yourself. And that's part of my healing process too, because, you know, once you get out there and you're talking to other folks, and as they say, there's people doing worse off. I went to the rare disease thing back in February down in DC. Come to find out there's over 10,000 rare diseases out there. 50% are kids, and then 30% of those kids don't make it to 5 years old. So I'm thinking, I've been very fortunate. I'll be 70 this year and all. But the thing is, I've been very fortunate. So why wouldn't you give back and do things that you should be doing anyhow?
Yeah, you're right, and for that I thank you. I am, I asked you once before, like, how did we meet? I don't know if it was
No, you
Aaron. I don't know who it is,
no, you know
but
how
I'm glad we met.
no, you know how we met. I met most great people through LinkedIn. That's
Right,
been my
yeah.
channel. It was through LinkedIn, and then that's the same thing. Other professional folks, the pharmacy school, doctors, people in general, just in business. And I didn't come across some great people, man, that have great desires to make a positive influx within our own community, health wise and all too. So that's been an eye opener. That's been a good eye opener for me because now my eyes have changed somewhat because there's a lot of great people out there want to do the right thing. You might have a few out there that's doing the wrong thing, but dwell on the positive.
And I do want to say this as we're closing out for today. If you are watching this, and once again, you want to know where the free genetic testing is, please reach out to me. If you're watching this and you want to reach out to Art and you want Art, maybe you have it's all about getting the information out there. Maybe you have a show or podcast, or maybe you're doing something hybrid, and sometimes even not even hybrid. Maybe you're doing something in your city or your state where you're like, you know what, we're looking for people, we're looking for patients to come out and add their voice. We want to know what's going on in the minds of a patient. I tell people this all the time. Just reach out to me. I can connect you with Art. Once again, like he said, he's all about helping. He wants to get the word out there. And I do see where we have Miss Jacqueline Cox that commented, great subject. This, it's a great subject because we're helping people. We are putting the information out there that actually needs to be put out there. If you have any other comments or you want to once again get in touch with either one of us, please reach out. Please just let us know. I'm on LinkedIn. Art is on LinkedIn. Art you can find under Art still. Sandra, Sandra L. You can find under You can find under my profile. It's out there. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I just ask that you take this information and you become a part of the Each One, Teach One, Reach One community. And Sadie McConnor, I'm not sure if you had a question or a comment, but I thank you so much for tuning in because I do see that you're tuned in. So I thank you very much for tuning in to watch today. And hopefully you'll take this message with you. Remember, as I always say, be kind. It doesn't cost you a thing. It's absolutely free for you to be kind. And when you be kind, guess what? You're going to make somebody's world. You're going to make somebody's day. You're going to make somebody feel proud about themselves because you spoke to them. And not only did you speak to them, but you was kind to them. It costs nothing. If we can only be kind to one another, we can get past a lot of the stuff that comes our way. All right, thank you, my guy.
Hey, Sandra, I owe you an organic cup of coffee and all. And man, I love you. I love exactly what you're doing and all. And just keep up the fine fight and keep up the good work. And tell LC, man, to stand in the corner tonight.
Likewise, and tell Miss Elizabeth, thank you so much for helping us get this started. We had some issues at the beginning, but tell her I said thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you. I really do appreciate both of you. Continue to have a great day.
Okay, I appreciate you too. You have a great day too then.
Thank you.
Okay, say that.